Alderneys Key FM.
And it is that time where we speak to our President, William Tate. Good morning to you, William.
Good morning, Dougal and Mags, and good morning to everybody that's listening on the radio and online. Shall I crack on?
Yes, please. Yep.
Okay. There is some sad news this morning. There is a media release which has been released by the Director of Public Health, Dr. Nicola Brink, and she is announcing the first COVID-19 death in the bailiwick. The Director of Public Health, Dr. Nicola Brink, has made the following statement to announce the first COVID-19 related death in the bailiwick. I am very sorry to report that a patient who tested positive for COVID-19 sadly passed away at the Princess Elizabeth Hospital yesterday afternoon. The patient was in their 80s. I offer my sincere condolences to their family and friends and ask that their privacy is respected at this extremely sad time. Deputy Gavin St Pierre, Chair of the Civil Contingencies Authority, said, "It was with great sadness that I learned of the first COVID-19 related death yesterday. This is something we knew would come, but that does not make it any easier to accept. I know that Islanders will join me in offering condolences to the family. This announcement will inevitably shock and concern the community. It confirms the stark reality that for some, this virus is extremely dangerous, even if the majority it causes relatively mild symptoms. I would like to reassure you that the States of Guernsey will continue to work tirelessly to respond to the challenges that this pandemic presents us with, and we will continue to be open and transparent with the community as each day passes." So this crisis becomes more real. And the significance is that it attacks the most vulnerable and our most senior residents. And I hope that those of our senior citizens who, for reasons which escape me, think it is still acceptable to be wandering around Victoria Street, talking to each other, passing on unsubstantiated information. They are not only putting themselves at risk and their loved ones, they are putting the whole community at risk. These are people who have lived through difficult times, but this is the biggest challenge facing us in our lifetimes. So please, if you are one of our more senior, respected and cared for residents, please stay at home. We have in place facilities for everything you could possibly need. We will support you, and in supporting you, you will be supporting us in keeping everybody safe. It's not a message that gives me any great pleasure, but I know most of these people, and I don't want to see this virus depriving us of any of them. So it's a very different start to the way in which I was going to present this morning, but we have to keep reinforcing messages. So again, as I do every morning, I will start with the data about COVID-19 infections. There are now 60 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in Guernsey. Most of these cases still relate to people who have travelled back to the bailiwick from other destinations in recent weeks. 5 of the cases identified in the last 24 hours have been identified through contact tracing. That is, working back through the contacts of those who have had a positive test and identifying and testing people they have been in contact with. There are currently 3 people with COVID-19 who are receiving hospital care in Guernsey, one of whom we now know has sadly passed away. Yesterday, it was announced that 3 COVID-19 cases had been identified in a care home in Guernsey. Those people have been identified, and the other residents and carers in the home are being tested to identify if the virus has spread further. This is clearly a concerning development, but the health service has moved quickly to work with the home and contain the spread. The very good news this morning is that the testing laboratory in Guernsey is operational and is testing on island. So test results are being obtained much more quickly. This is a pretty impressive development. Such laboratories usually take months to set up and become operational, so this is something we can be really proud of in the bailiwick response. We can now expect that testing will extend much further into the community. Instead of just testing people who have returned to the bailiwick who develop symptoms, we now have the capacity to test anyone displaying symptoms of cough, difficulty in breathing, or fever, and we can retest where appropriate. In the words of Dr. Brink, the Director of Public Health, on-island testing has made a massive difference. And the advice of the World Health Organization has been consistently test, test, test. So we now have the opportunity to manage our testing processes on island, so we no longer have to send our samples to England, where they are dealt with the thousands and thousands of other tests which are now being carried out there. So that gives us a real advantage in fighting this problem. So that's something that we should all be very proud of, and I think from Alderney we would like to express our thanks to all those in Guernsey who've made this possible. And if you look around the world, the countries that have had the greatest success in containing the virus are those who have done testing, testing, testing. So that gives us a real opportunity now to get the best outcome for all of us. So the other implication of that, of course, is that test results are coming back to Alderney much more quickly. There are still no positive test results in Alderney, but I will repeat myself. This doesn't mean the virus isn't here, and we need to behave as if it is. We're now testing more people in Alderney, and yesterday our colleagues at the Island Medical Centre were experimenting with some drive-by testing, another way in which we can reduce the social contact of those people who may have some symptoms of the virus. And this is yet another example of the expertise that we are privileged to have in our medical support. This was a system which was thought through, will have massive benefits, and again, enables us to move quickly to respond to the challenge. But the expectation in Guernsey is that the number of positive cases will continue to rise over the coming weeks. The restrictions on movement and the requirements for social distancing will slow this rise down and mean that the health service can cope with the increasing demand. Those people who fall into the category of being most at risk, those over 65 and those with underlying health problems, are well advised to isolate themselves from any social contact as much as possible. And this advice applies equally in Alderney. Now, we are told that the banks are making changes to the way that contactless payments are made. This will mean that if you have a debit or credit card that allows contactless payments, the maximum value of transaction will shortly rise to £45. This will help to avoid touching payment card machines and passing on the virus that way. retailer point-of-sale machines will be updated in the coming weeks so that the new limit applies. But of course, this is only a backup provision. We are asking everybody to order online so that that will minimize the risk to them, minimize the risk to the people who are providing the food, and if you have any problems at all in being able to order your food, then we are there to help you do that. So please don't go out and get the one or two things or the things that you would have had it been available when you got your big shop. Because going into our shops for 2 or 3 items is really increasing the risk exponentially. So we know living here that we make sacrifices around food. We know that there are times when we just have to eat what we eat. So that extensive range of choices is going to be limited. So please, I suppose my message is make do with what you can get, and that will allow everybody else to get their share as well. I had 1 or 2 other things I was going to say today, but I think in the light of the press release, I think they would be better kept until tomorrow. But I do want to just go through, because of course we have to keep reinforcing our message here. And I think probably most people will agree with me that hearing of the first death in the bailiwick has really brought it home to us and really makes us appreciate how desperate it is that we are in a position where if and when the virus does come to the island, we can manage it, because that's the key. So in terms of supporting people, we are setting up a buddy system, and this will be administered through the Alderney Spirit. And basically what it is, it's just a service for example, if you struggle with your computer and if you know the basics but perhaps would like to have a bit more knowledge, then we have that resource. Somebody will help you to do that. If you just want somebody to chat to, because at the moment we're all feeling, I think, slightly not isolated, but we're certainly not being able to live the social life that all of us on this island love. So we've got people who are quite happy to chat, lots of them, some of whom ring me. And it just makes people feel reassured. It makes people know that they are still thought of, part of the community, and talking really does help. So if you want somebody to chat to, if you want somebody to help you with your ordering, if you want somebody to help you with your computer, then if you ring 820003, 820003, and Liz will answer the phone, and she is responsible for allocating all our volunteers so that nobody slips through the net. But if you want to still put yourself forward to help, then it's the same contact details: alderneyspirit@outlook.com, alderneyspirit@outlook.com, or 07781 440 269, 07781 440 269. Now, I was told yesterday that some kind people are making their own volunteer arrangements, and this is over and above family and friends. So these are people who just want to make their contribution and are asking for donations so that of all sorts of different books and games so that they can be distributed to people who are in their homes, which is a great initiative. but we would ask people who are minded to do this to register with us at Alderney Spirit so that we can properly coordinate the effort, but also so that we know they are on our radar. So if for any reason there is a problem, then we can step in and support. So I really do applaud everything that everybody is doing, but we need to make sure it's a coordinated function, and that way nobody will expose themselves to risk and nobody will feel as if they're not making their contribution. So finally, I just want to put a shout out for all the people who are working in the retail sector, who come into contact with members of the public each and every day and are making their contribution to keeping our island safe and protecting our community. So I think they deserve a massive vote of thanks, because they are very much on the front line, not necessarily in the same way as the medical teams and the ambulance crew, but their contribution is no less worthwhile. So please respect the social distancing in the retail outlets, and just, if you get the opportunity, and I'm sure you do and will, just say thank you for what you're doing. So we've sort of entered now the next phase, but I can again guarantee the community that we are battle ready, we are prepared, and we are ready to face this challenge. So this is not a time to be over anxious. This is not a time to panic, but this is a time to realize that that challenge has taken one step closer, and we must reiterate our message to everybody in the community of whatever age: stay at home. That way, we're going to be in a position to manage this situation and not become overwhelmed, which is always a risk, and we have seen that happening all over the world. So we're in good shape. We'll continue working, you'll continue supporting, and soon enough we'll get to the other side of this and we'll get life back to normal. So I think, other than saying that 24 years ago today, when we moved to the island, if you'd have told me then that 24 years later I would be sitting addressing the community, I think I'd have probably thought you'd had too much to drink. But we are where we are, and we have not ever said every morning when we wake up how blessed we are to live here and to be part of this community. Thank you, Dougal.
Thank you, William. And a point worth making, I think, it's the fact that we've got very strong leadership and pointing us in the right direction that is going to help us all through this. And we thank you very much indeed, and for everybody else, what a sterling job they're doing. At this time as well, our thoughts go to the people of Guernsey for the sad loss that they've suffered, and we are part of the bailiwick and our hearts go with them as well. We know how they're feeling right now, so we all support them and we wish them, and we hope that they stay safe as well. So William, thank you very much for today. We'll speak to you again tomorrow morning at the same time.
Okie dokie.
Okay, so thank you, our President William Tate.
Alderney's Key FM.